on why you answered like this. So today's class is about, like, again, an intro to natural language processing. So I'm just here to make you understand why it's interesting. So first thing, obviously, what it is, then why now, so why we are actually doing that. Then let's see if we have time, we will talk a bit about more technical stuff, but we will probably just go straight on like what's NLP and why. So first thing, that is the most important thing, text data is exploding. So since the advent of internet, obviously there are many data that are not only have been produced, okay, till now, but that are currently produced every day. So to make you better understand how much these data are, I will provide you an example. So I'm not asking you to reply in the chat, but I'm asking you questions just and give you like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, just to like let you think. Okay, so try to answer to these questions in your mind. So do you have any idea of how many words you read per day? I mean, obviously on average. So on average, you read 9,000 words per day. So if we make some roughly multiplication, this means more or less 200 million words in a lifetime. And I mean, seems a lot. No, I mean, it's like, you can't imagine like to read this number of words in just like a day. I don't know how long it takes you like to read a book, but I mean, it's difficult and it's something that is not feasible to do that. That's why we read this amount of words in a lifetime. What if I tell you that this amount of words is actually associated with something like 0.4 gigabytes of data? Right? Can you imagine that all the words that you read in all your lifetime can be stored in an USB stick? Or like, I don't know, like the memory size of your smartphone or whatever device like you have. But for example, my smartphone is 16 giga and it's always full. The words that I'm reading in my entire lifetime, it's way less than this. And this is incredible. And at least to me, it's incredible. Especially if I tell you that each day 44 billions of gigabytes are generated. So it's like, really, if you compare yourself to the planet system, so you can see that the amount of words that you can process each day is basically nothing compared to what is currently like what is currently produced in the world. That could be books, could be blog posts, could be social media, and so on. And I mean, this is like a very important information, because this is not only the reason why we need a way to process with computers natural language text, but it is also the reason why at some point someone started to learn and to like research about this. So the next point that is like why we are doing natural language processing is that it is super useful and you are actually using natural language processing systems in many ways that you maybe even not understand or not known. So this, I mean, you should be aware of like what, I mean, at least the majority of these logos are. So natural language processing is Siri inside your phone. So whatever is speech analysis, so Amazon Alexa, Siri, Google, everything that is like listening to your voice, understand what you're saying, translate into words, and potentially translate into action. This is natural language processing. Google Translate, Bing Translator are actually, again, another case of natural language processing systems, actually tools, where they need to take a text as input and then produce a translation automatically. Then you have Google and Bing, whatever. So like all the search systems, like it is a natural language processing problem to understand which are the best web pages given a query. So a text like, I don't know, where is this restaurant and so on. Finally, another example is Grammarly. So basically, given a text, we ask Grammarly to like check the grammar and like improve it. So I would like to use this definition that somehow I would say probably is better related to the first answer of the poll that has been shared. So let me read it to you. So natural language processing is an interdisciplinary subfield of linguistics, computer science, and artificial intelligence, concerned with the interactions between computers and human language. In particular, how to program computers to process and analyze large amounts of natural language data. I will now decompose all the things that actually you see in blue. So let's start with the first part. So what is the role, what is the relation between artificial intelligence and natural language processing? So as you can see from the slide, NLP, short for natural language processes, is kind of in the middle between different areas. So you have artificial intelligence, AI, computer science, and linguistics. It is very important to me to say that, because right now, and I have slides about that, but right now in the really recent months, natural language processing became very popular, and it became very popular because of some AI system. What it is really important to me to say is that NLP is not just AI. Actually, NLP has roots in linguistics. So just, you know, something that has nothing to do with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. It is also important to add that this is true also for computer science. So computer science can be solved for can be used for solving NLP tasks. At the same time, it's not mandatory. So what I think this chart is saying to us is that NLP is a little bit in the between of all of these areas. And it is interesting. I think it's nice to say that you, I mean, if you are really an expert of linguistics and AI, you can actually still understand NLP, and it's the same if you are an expert of computer science and AI, you still have some expertise to understand NLP. Another chart that I think is really important is this one, that is the relation between machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. So if you are not aware of the differences between machine learning and deep learning, So basically, deep learning are methodologies based on neural networks and are basically everything that happened in machine learning in the last probably up to 10 years. Again, I like to show this because it's also important to say that not everything in NLP is machine learning, not everything in NLP is deep learning. So there are things that probably the most popular one now are NLP and deep learning, but there are many ways that we can do that. So let's now focus on the interaction between computers and human language. So I like to think about natural language processing. So this is like a metaphor that I like to use. So natural language processing is a way that we can take text, and text can be viewed as this amount of unstructured data. So you can see here, like from the image, what do I mean with unstructured data? I mean that you have a lot of information. You can see that there is everything going on. I mean, there is everything that you can learn from this image, okay? That is like you have all the ingredients. The point is that this is actually what you want. So what is the role of natural language processing? So I think in my case, I think about natural language processing somehow as like the oven, or like the person who's making the cake plus the oven. So the idea is that you have some text and you want to obtain some information, some knowledge from this text. The problem from the text is that the text is messy, it's all around, you have a lot of it, it's everywhere on the table. And NLP is actually the thing that is taking all this massive, messy information and extract exactly the knowledge that you are searching for. So let me explain better to you what do I mean with like messy information. So natural language data is known as unstructured data. But let me first describe to you what is structured data. So I will give you again 5 seconds to think about like, if I tell you like what is the first thing like visually that will arrive into your mind when I say structured data. So one answer, usually the most common one, is tables. So tables like, I don't know, Excel is a way to represent data in a very structured way. Why there is structure? There is structure because you can actually perform some data analysis by looking at some columns. You can take the values and say, oh, look, I can like multiply them. So let's say that in this case, if I want to know what's the value of column M for Ann Mattes, I mean, there is actually like, it is easy to do that. Or like, what's the birth date of, I don't know, Maren Brinker? I will go and search the name in column I and J and search for the birth date in column L. And I have my answer. Obviously, still this requires a little bit of work, but it's there. I can see that, I can search it, everything, it's sorted and have a specific value, and I know a lot of things. And like, even if I didn't create this data set, I can still understand something out of it based on the way that it's designed. So this is structured data. So what it is actually unstructured data. Unstructured data as text, you can think something like this. This is more or less the idea, and I want you to be overwhelmed from this image. You have this large amount of documents, text, sentences, depending on which level you want to like look at that. And so imagine that you have in front of you all of these books, and I'll ask you, what's the birth date of Anne? That is a very difficult thing like to look at. I mean, obviously, like from structured data, it depends on also on how long is the table, but you have a column that you can filter, and then you have a column that you know. Here, if you would do that by hand, so manually, you should like read every single page that you have in front of you, plus everything that is within the book, and then find the thing that I asked you. This is not easy. Why these unstructured data are important? So I like to show this image that is also more or less a definition of what is structured and unstructured data. So structured data can be displayed in rows, columns, and databases, are numbers, dates, and string, and they are estimated as 20% of the enterprise data. They require less storage, they're easy to manage and protect. So structured data, unstructured data cannot be displayed in rows, columns, and relational databases. In this case, we are talking about words and documents, but they can be also images and audio and video. What is really important here is that they are estimated to be 80% of enterprise data. It is true that though that requires more storage, they are more difficult to manage and protect. So what I like about this image is that it's giving you like an amount of estimated presence of this data, but you can think about it also on like a likelihood about how much these data are important for a company. So the company is not just associated with tables. There's a lot of unstructured data that the company can use to actually gain information, knowledge, and improve. So one of the main issue in natural language processing is to understand how to step from unstructured data to structured data. So the main thing here is that computers, machines cannot like read directly unstructured data. There should be a way to make these structured. So this is like just an example to show you. So more or less, this is the idea of an unstructured data. So you have a tweet. In this case, was a tweet of 2019. And it says, do we want to talk about the fact that I still can't access Instagram down? We, as humans, are we obtaining so much information out of it? Like we will look at the hashtag, we will look at the emoji, we will look at the tone, etc. But the machine doesn't know anything about it. And that's exactly what is the process of passing from a structure to structure. So this is the unstructured data. And like the structured part would be to extract the fact that the emotion is frustration, the tone is negative, it is subjective, that the tweet is mentioning the company Instagram, that the topic is the service, and that the language is informal and also English. So, like, the idea is like to take these text with a lot of hidden knowledge, hidden information, and to find a way to extract every possible all these possible informations into a structured way. But why this is difficult? So this is difficult. So first, even in cases where natural language has like really precise rules and structures, because this also depends on language, there are conventions and forms whose meanings are strongly depending on the context. Okay, so I like this image, for example, where the first one, so it's basically the same thing. The first one, the parents are not that happy. In the second one, the parents are super happy. So the idea is that you have a word, you have something that in different contexts will mean very different things. And this is really important. This is associated to the concept of ambiguity. So ambiguity requires strong assumptions about the sharing of knowledge base between the parties involved. So like one example is the one reported in the image where you have take the cat with the gloves, okay? So because I assume that everyone here never saw a cat with the gloves, actually, like the picture on the bottom, I'm expecting you to, let's say, have thought about the first image, actually, and not the second one. But this description actually applies to both of them. And again, this is true also for many other words. Like, for example, if I say transformer, I mean, if you search transformers on Google, and if you search transformers in NLP on Google, you will find two completely different results. That's why if I say the word transformers with my friends, they will assume I'm talking to the movie. If I say transformers here in the university, everyone will understand that I'm talking about a specific model in NLP that is called transformers. Finally, NLP is difficult because it is noisy and it's continuously evolving. So I like to use this example of IKEA. I don't know if you ever heard about this story. So basically, at some point, the social media manager of IKEA actually used his phone while it was like, he actually sat on his phone, and by chance, the social media manager typed this like sequence of characters. So the sequence of characters actually have no meaning, like there is no actual meaning behind it. But it became so popular. It was a social media like viral hashtag at that time that not only like reached a meaning per se, but also like IKEA made bags out of it. And these words, I mean, I think that this word is somewhere in some vocabulary, for example. Why before that, there is no way that that was a word, at least in the language that has been typed. So let me give you just a little bit of introduction of the history of NLP. Like many artificial intelligence approaches, so natural language processing has been introduced in the 50s, mainly because of World War II. So the main idea behind like the first application of NLP was to use machine translation, and the main use was to translate Russian to English automatically. I mean, because of military reason. Then in the 70s, there has been like a boom with people just, let's say, working in linguistics. So there was no computer scientist behind that. Then in the 90s, statistics came up, and the idea was, okay, language is not only based on rules, but also like we can derive some kind of statistics behind the data. Finally, the artificial intelligence era began, and like we started to have like neural networks to what they are now called language models and reinforcement learning models. You may have heard about BERT, ChatGPT, GPT models. So as the final thing that I want to show you is like NLP application. So NLP can be mainly used for generation and understanding. So this is kind of reply to the last, so that in the poll, the last thing that you have, so the last question that the last answer that you had. So NLP can be used for generation, but it's not just that, but I understand the hype behind that. So one example of NLP application is, again, text generation, which, for example, is machine translation. So here you have a GIF of what you can actually do with Google Translate. So basically the idea that from a text in some language, you generate text in another one. Another interesting application is related to chatbots that I expect you to have dealt with chatbots now. So this was one thing proposed by Facebook, by Meta. At that time was Facebook that basically the idea was to let you book flights and in general appointments just by natural text. So I don't have to fill a form and so on. I will just talk in the way that I will message my friend. Another case of chatbot is the one of Uber. So the basic idea is that you can, as you can see from the video, you have very small and short answers already like prepared that you can use while, let's say, while driving, or mainly like just a quick reply. So that's called one-click chat. And in this case, the replies are automatically generated. Another like example that is really used by companies is sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is the task of taking a text. This is why now it's text understanding. So taking the text as input and predict if the text is positive or negative. So you can, so the easiest case that you can think about it is, for example, for reviews. So if you have like a food review, the idea is that you have an automatic way to read the review and say, okay, this is positive or negative. While like for companies, a case could be like, okay, I have now launched a new product, and I will just like look at what people are saying on social media. Again, you can't hire a person to look at all the tweets, for example, on Twitter and all the posts on Facebook and so on. So you need some kind of an automatic way to do that. And sentiment analysis is a way to do that. Another application in terms of text understanding, it's called like hate speech detection. And it means that this is used for content moderation. And the idea is to have these automatic models, so NLP models, that are able to get when there is some hateful, abusive content online and report it. This is really important, again, because you can't have a person reading everything that is on the platform, while you still want to promote inclusiveness, health, and so on. Similar, this was more famous, I think, on Twitter. There are some automatic fake news detection. So the idea is that, again, that you want to quickly respond to fake news and report them. And that's why you need an automatic approach. Finally, another case is mental health. So the idea is like, again, this is like a positive use of NLP. So the idea is to actually use natural language processing to process text produced by, for example, patients, and like for the doctors to monitor them through text. Let me take the last minute to say this. So why now? Why this is important now? So 2022 was the year of generative AI for everyone. So this company actually made available to everyone the possibility to use, play, obtain information, gain insights, and so on from models. Let's talk about text models, but this is true also for others. So I think you may have heard about ChatGPT, and I think that's also why many of you answered with generating text. So if you don't know ChatGPT, so this is a thing that you can ask ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT everything. It will not reply to everything, but it's like an example. You can actually say, okay, this is what I have, what can I cook? And this is actually the answer that ChatGPT gave me. So I said, okay, let's do this. So what I thought was, okay, let's maybe ask ChatGPT directly to present itself to the student, and that's actually the answer. So I will not read everything, but again, ChatGPT is an NLP model that has been designed by OpenAI and can assist you in many, many tasks, and not only like for NLP research, but also in your common life, let's say. It's also fun to play with ChatGPT because, for example, like that's what I did. I mean, I don't know if you can see the video again, or if you want to screenshot it, or if you want to try it. It's fun that you can actually ask ChatGPT funny things like, can you do it in the form of a song? And yeah, that's it. So why study NLP? There is a growing demand, super advancement in this technology. Like nowadays, the last 10 months, everything happened. There is a wide range of application. Also, these results in many career opportunities. You can also work on fields, specific fields in NLP where you can actually have a social impact. And I think it's also nice because it's an interdisciplinary field. So even if you have some background in, social science, you can actually use NLP in your life. And finally, it's personal development too. So I will suggest you to try ChatGPT and see some examples, and I'm sure you will find something that is helpful for you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. That was absolutely wonderful. Just going to add myself to spotlight again. Yes, we've got 340 plus people in this room that have been listening to you over the last few minutes. Just before, one thing I had actually forgotten to do before I started off is ask the 340 people who are here, where are they joining us from? So the chat is open right now, and we've got a whole host of questions. Varsha is here from Mumbai. People here from India, and I think different parts of the world. There's someone, Emmanuel has joined in from Ghana. There are some people from Pakistan, Rajasthan, in Ghana, in India. A lot of people from India, UAE, in as well. So we have consciously tried to reach out to candidates here in India who are interested in this topic and interested in Bocconi University, and across Africa as well. Here we've got like a lot of students joining in from Ghana and Nigeria. So thanks so much for doing that. Thanks so much for everyone in the chat who've told us where they are joining us from. Dr. Deborah, we'll just have about 10 minutes of Veronica telling us a little bit about Bocconi University, and then we'll move to the questions that each of you have asked. There are 8 questions in the Q&A tab. Please remember, if you like a question, please upvote them, because we'll ask the most upvoted questions due to the large number of questions that we will be having. And more importantly, please ask more questions if you have some queries about Bocconi or some queries about NLP. Now is the time we can go to the Q&A tab. Don't ask your questions in the chat, ask them in the Q&A tab, and we'll have most of them answered for you right after this. But now over to you, Veronica, who will take us through a little bit about Bocconi University. Please feel free to share your screen. We're just waiting for it to go on screen right now.
Here it is. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hello, everybody from my side as well. I am here at Bocconi University, and just to compliment on what Professor Deborah Nozza said, Bocconi is also launching a program in artificial intelligence. So the main reason we are here today is also to tell you a bit more about this specific and very interesting topic that is it's something that we use basically every day on our phone. So I think it's very interesting for everybody. But I already saw also some questions related to Bocconi. So just let me tell you a bit more about our university. That is a very young university for Italy, founded in 1902, so 130 years ago. And it was the first one to provide a degree in economics in Italy. Bocconi has been offering programs entirely in English since 2001, since the day I started working there, basically. And the number of international students is now more than 30% on masters and 50% on bachelor programs, for an overall number of basically 30% of our student population. Bocconi is also very well known and recognized among the best business schools in Europe, and also for its masters, specifically for the Master of Science in Finance and Management, and generally speaking for business, economics, finance. We also have a new ranking in marketing, for which we are number 3rd in Europe and 8th in the world by the QS. These are the figures that I wanted to show you. So now, as you can see, the number of students in class, of international students in class, is really amazing for us. We have a good population from India also, but also from the rest of the world, of course, from Europe, Asia, North and South America, and Africa. So you're all welcome. More specifically, we offer several Master of Science programs in the area of business administration management, finance, economics, and you see in the right bottom area of these slides all the new programs related to computer science, data science, artificial intelligence, and so on. This is a wide area that we are opening up. We hired a lot of professors like Professor Deborah Nozza from more, let's say, technical and scientific subjects. We have a new department in computational sciences. So everything is ready to start learning and teaching about these very up-to-date subjects. The main reason why we are starting this new program is like what Professor Nozza said before, is that the job market, companies, institutions are need this type of skills and competencies more and more. So it is important for our students to be knowledgeable, to know more and more about this type of topics in order to help them find the good job in the current and future job market, let's say. Besides the specific information about all the courses that then and also in the future you will be able to ask us, taking into consideration that we in all our programs we have both the deep knowledges and competencies that also Professor Deborah Nozza showed, but also behavioral skills, soft skills, the quantitative knowledges in order again to try to build what can be the most interesting profile for companies and the job world. I will just skip this because these are the most interesting information for you. Again, this in the photo is one of our job fairs that we had 10 days ago here on campus. But specifically for these programs, I know Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco come to campus almost every day in class, talk to students, they produce case studies we can work on, and they really come. They are part, let's say, also of the contents of teaching, but they are of course happy when students graduate and they can profit of the knowledges they have learned throughout. That's also why the statistics said that basically on graduation day, more than 80% of our graduates is working full-time. So good news for all our students and recent graduates. A few more information also about application and scholarship that I saw it was one of the questions. Basically, all our courses, you can apply to all our programs with a GMAT or a GRE with your transcripts, your CV, and your personal statement. For the new program in artificial intelligence, as well as for all our Master of Science programs that I showed you before, sorry, here is the long list. You can apply for September 20 and start in September 2023 until 25 of May. So you still have some time in case you have, you see the deadlines, in case you have a GMAT ready, you just need to fill out the application. In case you are thinking 2024, 2025, you will be able to apply starting from September 2023 throughout the year. You see, we have several deadlines basically from September to May for you to apply to up to 5 of our degrees. So the one in computer science, but you can also apply for others in the area of cyber risk or data science or transformative sustainability, if you are interested in this type of topics. Last information about scholarship. I saw students asking about it. You can see our tuition fees for 1 year. Our master are 2-year programs. Considering the second year, you have a compulsory internship all over Europe, and you will basically be hired by the end of the second year. Most importantly, Bocconi in the last years have been providing 37 million euros to support our students. 1 out of 4 receives some sort of financial aid. When you fill out the
Hey everyone, sorry. I think Veronica might have just lost some network. I think she'll be back sometime soon here as well. We'll just wait for Veronica to join in. Let me just continue where she left off about the fees and funding. A lot of questions here on the screen that are talking about fees and and funding that have come through. So Bocconi just mentioned about 37 million worth of scholarships that are on offer. So, I would recommend, there are some questions by Obed in the chat, and, 4 to 5 questions rather that have come in the chat. What I'm going to do is until Veronica comes in, I'm going to ask Deborah some questions. I'm just going to add you to Spotlight for now. I'm going to ask you some questions that the team had asked in. All right. I think Veronica is just back. I'm going to let her continue.
Excuse me, there was a problem with my computer.
No worries, no worries. We'll let Veronica conclude her presentation, then we'll come back to the Q&A.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure the students are aware of our scholarships. Basically, when you submit your application, you are automatically considered for merit scholarship that can cover 100% or 50% of the tuition fees. And you'll get to know as soon as you are admitted. So before starting the process to come to Italy, to come to Milano, to PEC, to ask for a visa, you know that your tuition fees are paid. So this is a great advantage in case you want to apply and try your chances. Last information was related to Milano, of course. If you are interested in joining us, you can still apply for our summer schools and experience some of these topics. There will be a lab also in artificial intelligence, so you will be able to experience this kind of topics. You can apply. We have a third round starting, so you can apply by 16th of May. Again, you have some time. You don't need to sign down all the specific dates, because of course you can get in touch with us. You can write to me, to Graduate Services, to our Instagram account, and make sure you have all the information needed in case you want to come to Bocconi, to Milano, and to Italy.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Veronica. And I think that you can make a note of these email addresses, make a note of the Instagram that's also provided on your screen right now, that is at Meet Bocconi, so meet_Bocconi rather. So if you're on Instagram, you can certainly follow them. You could also write an email about your profile and some of the questions you might have about admissions, deadlines, sort of questions about scholarships, which obviously we've covered. Just a reminder right now, if you have any questions, now is the time to look at the Q&A tab and ask those questions, and please upvote the questions that are also there. In the next about 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to take some of the questions that are asked. The most upvoted questions are going to be asked to the panelists here. So I'm going to start off very quickly with the first question here for Dr. Deborah. I think the first question is around salaries and about careers. Could you throw some light on, if someone wants to take up NLP as a career, what are some of the career opportunities? What are some of the salaries, expectations, even for a fresher, if that is, what should their focus area be?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I understand this is really important. So let me say that so there are different ways that you can approach NLP. Let's say that the basic, it's called, the name is NLP engineer, okay? And then you have NLP scientists and so on. But like an NLP engineer, let's talk about USA. So again, it's a high-paid job with a salary from 100K to 200K, depending obviously on a lot of details. But that's more or less the range. And obviously this depends also, let's say, at the local level, but I think this is true like in every part of the world.
Sure. Thanks so much for that, Dr. Deborah. Veronica, my next question, a lot of questions have come around in the chat and in the Q&A, is about entrance test. firstly, two kinds of, entrance tests. One is the GMAT or GRE. Is there a scope for the GRE to be waived off, or is GRE or GMAT mandatory to get into the MSc programs at Bocconi University?
Thank you very much. I forgot, in fact, to tell students something new. So for this academic year, so for students who want to apply and start in September 2023, there is only a GMAT or GRE compulsory requirement. Our suggestion for GMAT is over 600, okay? For GRE, I think the equivalent is around 165, something like that. The higher, the better for a scholarship. But starting from next academic year, so if you want to apply for 2024-2025, we will also have our own test. So you can do it without moving from home, online, a Bocconi test, very similar to GMAT, so with questions related to economics, with quantitative logic, and this type of questions, multiple choice questions, but still you don't need to do GMAT, and you can do our own test in the day and time slot that you prefer. So you will be alone in your room, a software will look around the room to check if your mom or your friends are helping you, but besides that, you can do it from home. This is big news for us.
Great. So, just to quickly summarize, for this academic year, if you want to start the program that starts in about 4 months' time, you need the GMAT or GRE. The minimum or a good GMAT score is 600 plus, or a good GRE score is 165 plus. More the merrier, more then have better chances for scholarships as well. Also, if you want to apply for the following year, you've got 3 options now: either the GMAT, GRE, or Bocconi's own entrance test, which you can do online, sitting at home itself. So if you're applying in the next couple of years, then you don't need to really prepare for GMAT or GRE. Bocconi is one of your target schools, right? So that is a little bit about Bocconi and the entrance test. What about, English speaking test? Do candidates require an IELTS, TOEFL, or those English language tests like a Duolingo test as well?
So in case students have been studying in English language throughout their bachelor, we don't need any type of English language proof. Otherwise, only after admission for enrollment, we would need IELTS with 6, TOEFL 88, Duolingo, I'm not sure about that.
All right. Thanks so much for that. I'm going to move to some questions about NLP right now. And Dr. Deborah, there were some questions, slightly, different kind of questions. Not sure if you heard this question before. A lot of it is around, NLP understanding human language. What can you say about NLP misunderstanding human language? What if, obviously all these softwares, etc., would have some bit of margin for error. What is your take on it being used against what the user wants it to to learn?
Yeah, I mean, so using so NLP tools are not perfect. So let me start by saying that so that's exactly the aim. So like whenever we are developing a new NLP model, a new NLP maybe tool, we are actually aiming for a better understanding of human language. So that's the objective, more or less. One thing that I want to say is that depending on the task, NLP misunderstanding human language can be more dangerous or less dangerous. So for example, for sentiment analysis task, if a model is not understanding that something is positive, while instead it was negative, I mean, 1 out of, I don't know, 10,000 tweets, that's okay. Obviously, the more, the worse. But there are also some cases where, like there can be actually a danger of NLP models misunderstanding human language. For example, in machine translation, let's say that I'm writing something on like whatever social media, and then the translation tool will actually translate it automatically, not in the way that I wanted to, then it can cause some problems, for example. But yeah, it happens. It happens a lot. That's why we are working on it, like as researchers mainly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah, for that. Also, I'm going to take two more questions, one about Bocconi University and one about the topic as well. Veronica, little bit questions about backgrounds have been coming in, we've been seeing some questions in the chat about the fact that the student might have a low CGPA in the undergrad, some bit of, lack of work experience, or they've studied their undergraduate degree in fisheries management or in animal science and so on and so forth. What they want to study, let's say a computer science program at Bocconi. What is the importance of historic backgrounds or undergraduate degrees, to get into a master's program at Bocconi, which is not related to their field? Is it allowed for students to enroll in this? If yes, what should the student do in order for them to be eligible for the program?
Okay, so officially it is allowed, of course, if a student is studying pharmacy and would like to study finance, probably they need to first show us their quantitative skills, also thanks to the test. GMAT or Bocconi test allows us to understand if a student has very good, let's say, logic and mathematical skills. And this is the first thing. Second thing, they need to clearly let us know in their personal statement, in their motivation letter, what is the reason why they want to change dramatically the subject they were studying. To be honest, I'm not sure Professor Nozza agrees with me 100%. Of course, if we are happy to welcome students who change their degree. Of course, it must be more or less related to their interest, and in a way they must be ready to work hard. Okay, if this is something completely new to them. Good news is that we organize preparatory courses the last 10 days of August, 8 hours per day, where all students coming from different backgrounds can recuperate all the knowledges that they have, they don't have. There was one more question that I can't remember, Sharang.
Yes. So I think the other question you were looking for is about academics. What if their undergraduate academics or their scores coming into the, MSc program at Bocconi are low? Do you think they still stand a chance to get in?
It's a competition, so of course it depends on the other candidates. In a way, the transcripts and the test are the two quantitative, let's say, more objective elements that allow us to evaluate students. So the students might have lower grades and a better test. This means they have a good mind. They might have better grades and a lower test, so they are good students, but maybe less used to multiple choice questions. So the two quantitative elements are both considered alike, the test and the transcripts.
Sure. I think that is well answered as well. We've answered most of the questions related to applying to Bocconi. There are still some questions about scholarships and so on and so forth. There are two links I've already shared on the chat right now. One is about Bocconi University and the different master's programs they offer. So if you're having questions about your profile or about a certain master's program, how long it is there an application fee, etc., you can log on to the website and you can look for the program of your choice and find that information. Secondly, if you guys had some friends that wanted to attend this session but couldn't, and you really enjoyed this session, you can share the YouTube link because the recording of this session is already shared in the chat. So any questions that are coming in about recording and so on and so forth, I think you can look at the chat and you will be able to get answers about about these things. There's one question about prompt engineering. Dr. Deborah, do you have any information about prompt engineering and how important is NLP to prompt engineering? And thank you, Shadrach Asuoko. Pardon my pronunciation, please. But if you'd like to share some insights about prompt engineering, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So prompt engineering is actually the latest trend in NLP and potentially also the next class of occupations in NLP. So prompt engineering relates to the best way to ask the model to do something. So for example, I show you some examples in ChatGPT. So what is the best way to ask ChatGPT to present itself? So this is a really important thing right now in NLP, and I'm happy to say that I am, and I think in Bocconi in general, we are very happy to actually talk in class, present in class the latest trends. So I actually presented this in class, in my NLP class, and thank you for the question, because this is the thing that is happening right now. So just to answer, it is really important for at least the next future.
Great. Thank you so much for that as well. I think we've come to the close of this session. I know there are some more questions that have come in. Why don't you log on to our YouTube channel or look at our YouTube link. You can ask the questions in there, and we'll have someone from the team, Dr. Deborah herself or Veronica, to answer, those questions. So go to the YouTube link. I'm going to share it once again in the chat right now, and comment any of the questions that you have, and we'll have the experts respond to your comments, share some links, etc. And that will be very, very helpful. I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Deborah who's made over an hour's worth of time from her busy schedule for us to teach us a little bit about NLP. It's been really, really interesting. We've gathered some lot of insights. There were, in total about close to 400 plus participants had joined in at a time from different parts of India and different parts of Africa as well. So thanks so much to have done that. We had also people from Pakistan and some parts of South Asia as well. Also, big thank you to you, Veronica. Once again, we've done a lot of sessions with Bocconi University. We did a very interesting session recently, which was a summer schools competition where 3 students from India won 100%, 75%, and 50% scholarships to the Bocconi Summer School. They will be going in June of this year, just about a couple of months from now. We do have many such competitions, so do follow us here on Seed Global Education, and you could be the next person to win 100%, a fully funded scholarship to attend a Bocconi Summer School, right in the background as to where Veronica is sitting there. So thanks so much. Any final thoughts, Dr. Deborah, firstly?
Thank you very much for this, and good luck with everything for the people that have joined online and offline later.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. Final thoughts from you, Veronica?
Thank you, and even for me, good luck for all of you. Don't hesitate to contact me also on LinkedIn in case you have questions for admission, for scholarship, and I will be waiting for you in Milano.
Great, thanks so much. I think Furkan Shah is asking the question about links. Unfortunately, this was, we finished the competition about 2 weeks ago, so that's in the past, but we'll be doing more competitions. So follow Seed Global Education on Instagram as well, where we'll be launching more of these competitions. I'm just going to take some time to find that link and share it in the chat, where you can follow Seed on Instagram if you're interested in some of these competitions. Here we go now. So the link to follow Seed on Instagram is also in the chat. So please do reach out to us if you have any questions, especially about Bocconi University. We'll be happy to guide you. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a nice rest of the day wherever you are joining us from. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Dr. Deborah.
Ciao, buonasera. Bye bye. Grazie.